A very good afternoon and welcome to Lunchtime News, come to you live and direct from the Newsfirst Centre here in Colombo. I'm Florine Rajendran. Before going to the stories in detail, here's a look at the headlines. Atmospheric disturbance prevails over the island. Heavy showers forecast today. Anuradhapura, Putlam and Batticaloa districts severely affected. 2 dead, 1 woman missing after being washed away by floodwaters in Ambilipitia. I protected the nation and created an environment suitable for living, a statement from the President. Maithripala Sirisena says government MPs and ministers are using drugs to destroy the nation. Distribution of polling cards for the presidential election commences. In headline-making news, President Mahinda Rajapaksa campaigned for his re-election in the Badulla district yesterday. The President also met with people from Bandaravela and Diathalava.
මට තමුන්නාන්සේලා කිව්වා මේ රට රැකලා දෙන්න නිදහසේ ජීවත් වෙන්න අවශ්‍ය පරිසරය හදලා දෙන්න.
You told me to protect this country and create a free environment. Has it not been done?
හදලා දුන්නා. එමනම්
I have done it. Then I was told to develop the country. Has it been done?
කරලාද නැද්ද? මම තමුන්නාන්සේලාට
If I told you something, I have done it. We do what we say. This country is for you. Believe in this. Join with us to create a future for your child and a safe Sri Lanka. I'd like to remind all of you that we will win the election on the 8th and the 9th, and then we will come to Bandaravela in a victory parade.
ඔබ අපහා එක්වෙන්න පැහැදිලිව ජයග්‍රහණය කළා 8 වෙනිදා 9 වෙනිදා ජයග්‍රහණය කළා ජයග්‍රාහක රැළිය බණ්ඩාරවලට එනවයි කියලා මම මතක් කරනවා.
Meanwhile, a public rally was organized by the Common Opposition in Nuwara yesterday. A number of public representatives from the opposition were also present at the rally as a show of support to the presidential candidate from the New Democratic Front, Maithripala Sirisena.
Around 3 to 4 times a month, they invite the bosses who belong to large companies in the construction sector to temple trees. 2/3 of the budget allocated for these constructions are all collected. No other state leader has carried out such a large-scale thievery on state income. They do not think about our vegetable farmers or our potato farmers. They do not think about the cost of living that the people have to bear. They only think about the happiness of these companies. Containers are caught, but the ones who brought them are not to be found. Ethanol permits are owned by several ministers. They are destroying this country with drugs and alcohol. Can a daughter or a woman living in an average home live in freedom? If you look at it on a diplomatic level, our state leader is the leader who commits the most bribery in the world. When you look at the bribery culture, we see it as dark magic in which we lose the morality of politics. They do this shamelessly in order to mislead the public. If they do not fulfill their responsibilities to the public, then we must line up the 20 million people as one and reach a point where we have the power to chase away this government.
එදාට තමයි මේ රටේ ඡන්ද නායකයාට වටිනාකමක් තියෙන්නේ. අපිත් එක්ක එන්න 20ක් 30ක් හිටියා. එදා කලකිරිලා අඬනවා සමහර කට්ටිය.
There were 20 to 30 people with us. They were very disheartened. Some of them even cried, while some were telling us that they were fed up and that they cannot support the Rajapaksa family anymore because they do not give them an opportunity to even lift their heads. I would like to tell you all that we stepped out to bring about true democracy and independence to the people.
මහින්ද රාජපක්ෂ මහත්තයා මේ ඡන්දේ අවුරුදු දෙකකට ඉස්සෙල්ලා ගේන්න හේතු දෙකක් තිබ්බා. එක හේතුවක් තමයි
There were two reasons why Mahinda Rajapaksa was returned at the election held 2 years ago. One reason was because he dissolved the Uva Provincial Council in the month of August and went for the election. It was the elder brother's son who asked for votes. Because of this, he was scared that if they took more time to hold the election, they would not be able to keep the votes. Another reason behind this is because he is scared of the movement of the planets.
එතුමා බයයි ග්‍රහචාරය වෙලාවට.
You're watching Lunchtime News on MTV Sports. Now let us take a look at some of the views expressed on the political stage.
Many people stated that this government cannot be shaken and that is a very strong government. Some were in a dilemma. They were afraid to speak against the government. They were scared to make a statement. There was a time when individuals were scared to even dream of speaking against the Rajapaksas. But we have put an end to all that. We have taken a decision for freedom, democracy, good governance, decency and stability.
හැබැයි ඒ සියල්ල අපි අවසන් කරලා මේ රටේ ජනතාවගේ නිදහස වෙනුවෙන් ප්‍රජාතන්ත්‍රවාදය වෙනුවෙන් රටේ යහපාලනය වෙනුවෙන් රටේ ස්ථාවරභාවය සහ සීලාචාරකම වෙනුවෙන් මිත්‍රවරුනි අපි තීරණයක් ගත්තා.
අනාගතය යහපත් වෙන්න නම් අපිට හොඳ රටක් තියෙන්න ඕනේ. නිකම්ම නිකන් රටක් තිබිලා මදි අම්මේ තාත්තේ.
For the future to be better, we must have a good tomorrow. A plain country would not suffice, my dear mothers and fathers. Our country should be a strong and a stable country. For this purpose, we need strong leaders and talented leaders. There should be leaders who foresee the future and are able to journey with our children to that future. I respectfully invite you to think of this.
ඒ පිළිබඳව හිතන්නට කියලා බොහොම ගෞරවයෙන් ආරාධනා කරමි.
අද මේ හංස රැල්ල රට පුරාම ක්‍රියාත්මක වීගෙන යනවා. ඒක තමයි මේ රටේ
The wave of the swan is active throughout the country. That is why the people have lined up against the nepotism and the injustice in the country and against one family overutilizing all the resources. I state with responsibility that in addition to abolishing the executive rule and establishing good governance and in addition to appointing a member for each electorate, we will help the people to live. We will do this after the 8th under a compassionate governance.
තමයි ජනවාරි මාසේ 8 වෙනිදා ලැබෙන වරමෙන් වැඩියෙන්ම කරන්න කියන එක වගකීමකින් අපි මෛත්‍රී පාලනයට මේ අවස්ථාව කියනවා.
අපි සිරිසිර මහත්මයා කතා කරනවා යහපාලනය ගැන. ප්‍රජාතන්ත්‍රවාදය ගැන.
Mr. Sirisena is speaking of good governance and democracy. They are scolding Mahinda Rajapaksa and the brothers. He is saying that this family have not done that. The president is not stupid. He is very intelligent and he looks into these things.
ෆයිල් තිබුණලු කාට කාටත් එදා කී හැටි මතකනේ හොරුන් රැක්කේ ඇයිද කියලා කියන් මහරජ දැන්ම මේ වහා දඬුවම් නොදුන් හේතුව පොඩි බබාටත් දරුණනේ වත්තේ නන්දගේ රෙද්දේ තුත්තිරි සිද්ධ පත්තිනි දෙයනේ.
These files do not contain acharu recipes, do they? They contain information on corruption and thievery.
ෆයිල් වල තියෙන්නේ හොරකම් දූෂණ වංචා.
On to other local news. The Postal Department states that the distribution of polling cards ahead of the presidential elections will commence today. Postmaster General Rohan Abeyratne stated that approximately 8,500 postmen will be utilized for this purpose.
The Postal Department is commencing the distribution of polling cards today in lieu of the presidential elections. Officials of the department have been assigned in distribution of these polling cards. We have around 8,500 postmen. When this team is employed in the distribution, another group of staff will be involved in distribution of polling cards in postal offices and other headquarters. The staff of the Postal Department are very much involved in this task.
Now, Postmaster General Rohan Abeyratne also stated that the distribution activities of postal voting packages have been completed by 97%.
This distribution will be carried out until the 31st of December by the Office of the Postal Department. Sunday, the 28th of December will be declared a special distribution day and we will be distributing polling cards. If individuals are unable to receive these polling cards when the distribution takes place, they could obtain them at the nearby postal office until the presidential election date after proving their identity.
The police headquarters also states that 67 complaints of election law violations have been received thus far. Police media spokesperson SSP Ajit Rona stated that 40 individuals have been arrested in connection to the violation of election laws. Moving on on to some weather news. The disaster management says that 292,000 persons have been displaced owing to the inclement weather conditions. Speaking to Newsfirst, the Deputy Director of the Disaster Management Centre, Pradeep Kodipilli, stated that more than 28,000 persons are living in relief camps. Meanwhile, water levels of 73 tanks have seen a drastic increase, while 53 main reservoirs are still at spill level.
Several spill gates of reservoirs have been opened due to heavy rains. 20 spill gates of the Rajangana reservoir have been opened in Anuradhapura. Our correspondent notes that 18 of these spill gates have been opened by 8 feet each, while the remaining spill gates have been opened by 4 feet each. 2 spill gates of the Angamo reservoir have been opened by 4 feet each. Meanwhile, several areas including Polonnaruwa, Diyasenpura and Madaragiri have been inundated owing to heavy rains experienced in the area. Our correspondent stated that 6,915 families have sought refuge in 35 camps in the Polonnaruwa district. Spill gates of Parakram Samudra, Kaudulla, Minneri and Giritale reservoirs have been opened. Furthermore, several areas located along the Polonnaruwa-Batiklo main road, which has been inundated, caused disruption in vehicular movement, while a number of low-lying lands have been flooded. Several areas belonging to the Puttalam Divisional Secretariat have been inundated due to heavy rains. Assistant Director of the Puttalam District, T.A. Talwata, noted that areas of Munathu, 5 Mile Post and Sevandi areas have been flooded. 150 families from the Salia Vava farming community have been affected due to the Kala Oya overflowing. Our correspondent stated that those affected have been relocated to 2 relief camps. Meanwhile, spill gates of the Tabol tank in Puttalam still remain open since day before yesterday. Our correspondent stated that spill gates of the reservoir have been opened by 3 feet each. Meanwhile, 40 families from the Anka Egagamana in Tabova have been evacuated to the Tabova Roman Catholic School. Railway services along the Batiklo railway line have been disrupted as a result of the flood situation. The railway control room said that accordingly, the train that commenced its journey at 6:10 a.m. will commence to halt in Gal Oya. In the meantime, railway services along the northern railway route will function as normal.
Meanwhile, an individual was killed last evening following an attack in Polvatta Padukka. The police media unit stated that the victim died around 12:15 last night after being attacked in front of his house by an individual with a sharp weapon. Disputes regarding a love affair had led to the attack, and the victim has been identified as 34-year-old Indikanu Rudda. The suspect in connection with the crime has not been arrested as yet, and the body of the victim is currently lying at the Homagama Base Hospital. A suspect in the custody of the Ambalipitia police who had hung himself was declared dead upon being admitted to the Ambalipitia hospital in a serious condition. The police stated that the individual had been held on suspicion over a theft of property. The police stated that the suspect had used the cord around his trousers as a noose to hang himself. The deceased was a 22-year-old resident of the Hodangmada area. The suspect was a resident of the Kolumbegayara area. And that's a wrap of lunchtime news here at Newsfirst. For the Newsfirst team, I'm Florine Rajendran. Have a wonderful day ahead.
Hotline 0114 896 896 www.newsfirst.lk